The world's two largest economies are duking it out, you might say, in a tariff war. And China landed the latest blow this morning by announcing new tariffs on American imports.
Well, President writing on his Twitter account, many tariffed companies will be leaving China for Vietnam and other such countries in Asia. There is no reason for the U.S. consumer to pay the tariffs, which take effect on China today.
Why are other countries objecting to China's grand plan to become a technology superpower?
Is the U.S. forcing the globe into a brand new Cold War? For many decades, the United States has been the mastermind, orchestrating the flow of international trade, the global economy, and geopolitics. However, what if we told you that the very approaches America employed to remain dominant, such as embargoes, tariff conflicts, and a host of similar tactics, are now boomeranging in the most unforeseen ways? Yes, we're speaking about how the US might be digging itself into a predicament so deep that climbing out seems unlikely. Stay with us, and we'll reveal precisely how this scenario unfolded. Let's begin. The US has risked playing a volatile game for ages, scattering sanctions like party favors, slapping duties as if they were giveaways, and shoving nations around as though it was still the era of the 1990s.
I will impose whatever tariffs are required, 100%, 200%, 1,000%. They're not going to sell one car into the United States.
But surprise, the global community is rising to the occasion, declaring, "We won't tolerate this any longer." Countries are finally understanding that they can form partnerships, establish their routes of commerce, and flourish independently of Washington's directives. Say hello to a diversified world order where the United States no longer holds the central position. As we dive deeper, we will examine how these misfired policies are prompting nations to rebel against the traditional ruling elite. The outcome? A world thriving without reliance on the United States. A realization Washington is only starting to comprehend. So in what way are US sanctions misfiring? At one time, sanctions served as the crown jewel of America's global dominance toolkit. When persuading another nation became necessary, all it required was imposing some debilitating restrictions, locking their assets, and watching them struggle. What's the issue today? This formula is now fundamentally ineffective. Take, for instance, Russia. Following the Ukraine conflict, the United States targeted Russia with sanctions, thinking it would corner Moscow and force its compliance. Instead, Russia aligned itself with China, transforming the crisis into a worldwide challenge for the West. Enter BRICS, a burgeoning economic alliance gaining momentum daily and steadily countering Western financial systems that have led the globe for years. Here's the ironic twist. While Washington attempted to penalize Moscow, Russia was busy joining forces with China to erect an alternative international economic framework. Both countries began to detach themselves from the US dollar and collaborated on creating digital currencies to prevent future manipulation by the United States. Did we mention their attempts to inspire other nations to join the movement? Suddenly, the United States is being served its own medicine, and the plot thickens. Nations such as Brazil, India, and even Iran have jumped aboard the BRICS initiative, thanks to US sanctions showing them a way to operate without dependence on America. Instead of driving nations apart, these sanctions have unintentionally unified them, advancing a new global system not subject to Washington's directives. What's the result? The United States observes this rebellion, and it's nothing short of alarming. The story doesn't end there. Let's consider the US-China trade dispute. America assumed it could impose tariffs on China and get Beijing to yield. However, the exact opposite happened. China grew stronger, and the world took notice. Now, the situation makes America appear far from competent. Here's something the US didn't predict. Each time tariffs were imposed on China, they inadvertently created opportunities for other countries. Gradually, nations saw the potential to bypass the United States altogether. Enter the Belt and Road Initiative, BRI, China's groundbreaking plan for linking nations via trade corridors, infrastructure development, and capital investments, leaving the US trailing far behind. As America picked trade fights, China built a commercial empire that eclipsed America's former dominance. But don't forget, it isn't just about China. Examine the cases of Japan and South Korea, two supposed steadfast US allies. However, after the downfall of the Trans-Pacific Partnership, TPP, both countries pivoted toward China. They are now deeply immersed in China's Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, RCEP, a framework shaping up as the dominant force in Asian commerce. Meanwhile, the United States has been sidelined. Before we proceed, are you enjoying this video? If so, please like and share it, and don't forget to subscribe for more content delving into China's development, dominance, and global impact. Let's carry on. Position: emerging as the foremost leader in international commerce. And what about America? It remains stuck in an unwinnable tariff war. As the United States butts heads with China, the international community moves forward, leaving Washington watching its power fade into obscurity. And don't worry, we have more revelations ahead. The Global South's rise is imminent, and it will compel America to overhaul its outdated mindset. The United States is rapidly losing its influence over nations in the Global South. And no, it isn't a gradual transformation. It's happening at lightning speed, presenting serious repercussions for Washington. Why is this significant? These countries have declared their refusal to play by America's rulebook. Take BRICS as an example. Once dismissed as irrelevant, BRICS is now a formidable entity, with Brazil, South Africa, and India assuming the lead. These nations are no longer passively following orders from the United States or institutions such as the IMF. Instead, they are uniting to craft financial systems aligned with their objectives. And the United States, excluded. But BRICS isn't the whole story. The African Union, AU, is asserting itself, while countries across Latin America and Asia are rejecting US-centric frameworks in favor of partners genuinely invested in their welfare. These regions, led by China's involvement in Africa, are showcasing that prosperity doesn't depend on American backing anymore. China's Belt and Road Initiative has become the go-to system for developing economies. By collaborating with Beijing for tangible infrastructure and investment solutions, countries in Africa, Asia, and Latin America are building pathways to autonomy, sidestepping the need for Washington's oversight. As America watches its grip loosen, here's the ultimate question. Can it function effectively in a world where its dominance is no longer the default? The prospects suggest it's facing steep challenges. So is the US prepared for a world no longer centered on its authority? America has long defined itself as the linchpin of global governance, dictating terms through mechanisms like NATO and the UN. But now, as rising forces like China and India challenge the status quo, the cracks are undeniable. As Washington clings to dated tactics, the rest of the planet is marching forward. A multipolar reality is no longer on the horizon. It's here. The critical question now is, will Washington adapt to this transformation, or will it continue its resistance in vain? It's evident that America faces a dwindling hold on power. Strategies like embargoes and trade restrictions, previously signs of its prowess, now expose its fading relevance. At the same time, movements pushing back against imperialism, particularly within the Global South, have presented viable alternatives to US-led dominance. China's model proves success doesn't require dependence on the United States. By emphasizing cooperation over exploitation, its initiatives, such as the Belt and Road, provide evidence of a sustainable alternative path. This growing anti-hegemony trend signals one truth: America's supremacy is waning. A new structure, favoring collaboration over authoritarianism, is emerging worldwide. Thank you for being with us. Do you believe America has recognized its failings, or is it stuck clinging to a fading legacy? Drop your thoughts in the comments section, and don't forget to like and subscribe for exclusive updates on how China is revolutionizing its global standing. Until our next video, stay stunned.